So last meeting, we talked about the measure of central tendency. Okay, so does anybody remember central tendency is what? To measure the center or the middle of a data set, correct? So that's what the central tendency means. When we say central, that means we want to find the center of our data, distribution of our data, right? And there are several ways to measure the central tendency. Some of the ways are what? You have a mean, you can use the mean, you can use the median, right?
The mode,
The mode,
Yes.
and the mid-range.
yeah.
Okay, so those are some of the ways where you can measure the central tendency or the middle of a data. All right. And we also have in the mean, right? So we also learn about the weighted means and how to calculate your GPA and such. And then I give a bunch of example about taxes and everything. Right. And then after that, we talk about the measures of variation. Okay, so does anybody remember what did I say about what is the word variation means? What is variation again? Variation means the spreadness of the data. Yeah, how spread the data of the data sample is. Okay, so variance means how spread is your data. Okay, that's what the variation means. So if you look at this different data set 1 and data set 2, so everybody agree that data set 2 is more varied than data set 1, meaning so data set 2 has more variance than data set 1, right? Up to this point, everybody understand, yeah? And then we also derive the formula for the variance. And how do you came up with this formula is this. And we also understand what is the degree of freedom, what is Bessel functions or the degrees of freedom, right? So that's your formula for sample variance. And then I did also explain about the degrees of freedom, right? And I explain it in great details about this. And some people have asked questions about it. I answer and I explain in great detail. So I'm expecting everyone to understand that. So after we discuss about the variance, now the formula for sample standard deviation, right? So standard deviation is just taking the square root of the variance formula, where S is stands for your standard deviation, right? And in measure of variation, you also have another one, we call it range. Okay, so basically range is just getting, you take the highest value and then you minus that to the lowest value. So in measures of central tendency, you have 4, right? So you have what? You have mean, you have median, you have mode, and you have mid-range. That's for the measure of central tendency. Now, for the measures of variance, you have a variance, you have a standard deviation, and you have range. Okay, so if we want to make a summary, so this is the summary for central tendency. If you want to calculate for the mean of a data set, all you need to do is take the sum of all the individual data, you take a sum, and you divide it by the total number of sample size. Okay, that's how you calculate for the mean. Okay, now if you want to calculate for the median, the first step is you need to organize it into an ordered pair. You organize it into ordered data set. And then if your n is an odd number, meaning your sample size is odd, meaning 15, 17, or 21, then the middle value of that ordered data set is your median. But if your data set is even, meaning 18, 20, 22, or 24, then the median is the middle 2 values. And then you sum them up and then you divide it by 2. That is how you calculate for the median for an even data set. Okay? And then if you have a mid-range, to calculate for a mid-range, all you need to do is find the maximum value, you plus the minimum value, and you divided that by 2. Okay? And now what is the mode? Mode is when you look at what is the value in the data set has more occurrence, or because what is the value has more frequency. frequency means repeatedly occurring. Okay. If there are two values that have the same frequency, we call it bimodal. If you have more than two values that have similar frequency, we call it a multimodal. So ini comprende kalian? Up to this point, understand? Yes or no? Simple answer. Any questions?
Comprende ituan, teacher.
Okay. Sama-sama ituan deh. Sa mana kau tu kau tuir kelas kala Cipriano?
Tuir hela, teacher.
Okay, ituan ainda neve mo comprende, ituan ainda neve mo la comprende. Ma'am?
Maksudnya idane hare asin
Kole makasto, kole ola onel lian la kunte. Rene usa?
maksudnya sinti be teacher speaking ne sinti comprende ituan kon ba idane ne.
Tambah saya dame ituan deh, nusa la comprende vara. Karena preguntas ne mana ituan maksudnya ituan ainda neve. Oksiodium o ituan ne artinya comprende balo la comprende. Ne maka usually bo. So ituan ainda comprende ne, ida la comprende ne ida neve. That's what my question is.
Kona ba ida be mediane ma be ladung be comprende, teacher.
Ida median ne mo la comprende ya.
Sim, sim.
Okay. All right, let's go back to the median. Okay, where is the median again? Okay, let me just go back to this slideshow. Okay, measure of central tendency. Let's go to the median example. Where is the median? Okay. All right, so for example, ano sana on a data name, okay? So this is, imagine this is your data, the height of students, 15 students. For example, you want to know, you are a researcher, imi pesquisador ida, e depois imi foti dados quando vai estudante ia saub department in height. I don't know, what is height in Teton? As, yeah? Yes, JSU na ba? For example, imi foti sample of 15 students, okay? Deve cada emaida, por exemplo, emaida ninia asne mane 152.4 centimeter. Emaida fali ninia asne maka 160.6 centimeter. All right, so that's your data, your sample data. Okay, so the median is, so the way you calculate the median is, agora ne kan dados ida nene laiha organização da katak niene bot nien arbir kik ba bot ba kik ne laiha organiza ida top nebe atubuka oni nia be median nene. O tem que organizar ulo kusi dados ne husi kik babot ascending order. So if you look at here 150.2, okay. Agora ita hari fali organize tia iha ascending order hanesane. Agora ita sura fali data iha nene itene sample size amuto kira. Our n is equal to how many? How many? What is our n here? N kikwani here sample size.
50.
Okay, 15. 15 is an odd or even number? 15 ne odd number ke even number?
All number.
Odd number. Oing how diyan sa idas ato buka sekarik on n is an odd number on median ne ida klarang los ne. Nebe ida klarang husi nomor 15 ne maka 156.7 tambah sa ida mah klarang tambah sekarik ida ne ma 15 anto ya soring karu kusi be. Ya 156 ne ya 40 you have a 7 so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 data. Ya falnes soring losmos ya 7 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Antang ida klarang ne maka 156.7. Okay, sekarik on your data ne maka an even number. If n is an even number, then all you need to do is you take two central data, right? Which is this one. For example, imi are file yan karik imi data set ne manem. Okay, so you need to organize it into order, correct? Order telai tujuh kikwa mababot. Agora, n is equals to what? What is our n here? What is our n?
8.
No. Our n. What is n again?
2.
Huh?
4.
It's 2.
No. N
14.
14. Yes. N is the total sample number of sample size. Wait, how do you guys get 2? How do you guys get 8? Em masih ada resposta 2 ho 8 ni, may tahu sini ba? You just have to count. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. That's your n. N is the total sample size. Now, 14 is an even number or an odd number?
Even number.
Even number. Correct? So if it's an even number, the median is the 2 middle value, which is in this case, this 8. 8 keluar ni. Tambah saya nama 8 keluar ni, klaran tambah. Saya ni 14, berarti 42 klaran ni, sorry ni, ya nen. Ya sorry ni mas ya nen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is also 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 6 data points here and 6 data points here, and then this 2 middle value. And then all you need to do is take the sum divided by the 2.
All
And you
number.
get your median. Comprende o no, Gaslav? Cipriano.
Comprende, teacher.
Comprende, teacher.
Okay. Então, Cipriano, então agora compreende para con los y tú ande con esto.
Sí, comprende, teacher.
Okay. All right. Any more questions? Ya tambah balo na ba sila comprende? All right. And then you calculate for the weighted mean where you use this formula to calculate for the weight. I give you a bunch of examples, right? And then I give an example of computing the grade point average or GPA. And then we calculate for the measures of variation, right? So variation is basically, I give you a bunch of data here to explain what is the measures of variation. And this is the formula. We didn't get to do any examples though, so that's what we're going to do today. Okay, so this is measures of variation, all right? So that's sample variance. So the conclusion here is this. So this is the summary for central of measure of central tendency. And this is the summary for measures of variation. Okay, so if you notice here, the formula for standard deviation is you just have to remove the square here. You take the square root of the variance formula. That's your standard deviation formula, right? Comprende ka yan, nene?
Understand, teacher.
Okay. Livania, please read this for us.
A class of 10 students scored the following grades in their math exam: 78, 82, 95, 88, 76, 85, 90, 84, 79, 81.
Mhm.
Calculate the mean of the scores, determine the median score, and identify the mode, if any.
Okay, so that is an answer, which means that you have a class of 10 students, and these are the number 78, 82, 95, 88. Those are the grades of all those 10 students, right? Now you want to calculate the mean, the median, and the mode of that data. Okay, now how do you calculate for the mean? So you use this formula over here. The mean, sample mean is just equals to the sum of all the x's divided by the total number of sample size. Okay, what is n here? Can I n in
10, teacher.
Huh?
10.
10, very good.
Teacher.
So all you need to do is you sum everything up. 78 plus 82 plus 95 plus 88, etc., and then you divide that by 10. Right, and then you get your mean of 83.8. Okay, that's how you calculate for the mean. Now, how do you calculate for the median? Step 1 is to do what? To organize into an ascending order. So you have 76 to 78, right? To 79, to 81, to 82, to 84, 85. Now it's already in ascending order. Ascend ini kata kusiki ke bawah. Okay, so before you do anything to the median, you have to organize it first. Okay, now our n is equals to 10. 10 is an even number or an odd number?
Even number, teacher.
So if 10 is an even number, n is 10, so therefore our median is the two middle value, which is this one, 82 and 84. So that's how you calculate for the median, where you have 82 plus 84, you divided that by 2, you get 83.
83.
Okay, now how do you calculate for the mode? Now, mode, by definition, mode is a value that has more repetition, yeah, greatest frequency. If you look at this data, is there any value that repeats? Iha dados nini, iha valor uma iha repetição kala, yes or no?
No.
No, there is no value that repeats even twice. Therefore, our answer simply is that there is no mode. Comprende?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, let's do example number 2. All right. Antonio. Antonio here? Giovanni. Ildefanus.
Yes, sir.
Can you read problem number 2 for us?
Yeah. The age of participants in a survey are as follows: 23, 25, 25, 26, 28, 30, 24, 26, and 25. Calculate the mean age, find the median age, and what is the mode of this data set.
Okay, so meaning you're making a survey and you collect a data of the people that in your survey, the age of the people, yeah, that participates in your survey. And you want to know what is the mean age or the median age or what is the mode of this data. Again, how do you calculate for the mean? You just use this formula. The sum of all the x's, all the xi, yeah, xi means each individual data set. So I1, x1, x2, x2 until how many? And then you sum them up and then you get the mean, which is 25.7. Now, how do you calculate? What is our n here? N is equals to
9.
9. Very good. So now you calculate for the median. Now, before we calculate for the median, what do we need to do first? Organize them into ascending order.
Organize the number,
Okay.
yes.
Organize into ascending order. So this is the organization. You make it from smallest to the highest, right? Now that you already organized that, now you can look for the middle value. So since n is equals to 9 and 9 is an odd number, so the median is simply the middle value, which is 25.
25.
25.
So our median is equals to
25.
25. Okay, now, what about the mode? What is the definition of mode? Mode is data value that has repetition. Now, if you look here, 26 repeats twice. Yeah, you have 226 here, but 25 repeats 3 times.
Yes.
So that means our mode is 25.
25.
Because 25 repeats 3 times, 26 repeats only 2 times. So 3 is greater than 2. So our mode is simply 25. If we have another 26, then we will have a bimodal because 23 or 25 repeat 3 times, 26 also repeat 3 times. So our mode is 25 and 26, or we call it a bimodal. Comprende? Understand? Any questions?
Comprende, teacher.
Okay, good.
Comprende,
Comprende, teacher.
Understand, teacher.
Now let's calculate for the this. Pavanyu, this is problem number 3 for us.
The daily high temperature in degrees Celsius for a week in a city are recorded as 28, 30, 27, 29, 32, 31, 28.
Mhm.
Find the range of the temperatures. Calculate the variance of the temperatures and compute the standard deviation.
Okay, kata the daily high temperature, the temperatura ya sidare ida nyalara nene lorong kada lorong ya they recorded for a week. They sira record hal tia be sira temperatura be sidare ida nyalara sira halo record tia be semana ida ninia. So how do you calculate the range again? What is the formula for the range? Range is simply the highest value minus the lowest value. Now, what is the highest value here?
31.
30,
32.
32. 32. What's the lowest
32.
value? Lowest value is 20.
27.
27.
Oh, 27. Right. So I'm making a mistake here. So 27 over here. So I have 5. Okay. So that's the range. Now, how do you calculate for the sample variance? What is the formula for sample variance again? So S square is equals to this formula, right? So what is this X value? X na sayda? X na may niya data na lo salay. X is our data points. So salay, what is this X in this formula? If you look at this formula, is the summation, the sum of X minus X bar squared. So your X is what? This X is equal to each individual. So you have 28, 30, 27, 29, 32, 31, 28. Those are X's. What is this X bar over here? What is this X bar?
28.
No, X bar na say that. X bar na represents this X bar here. What is that? What is that? What is this X bar, guys? Come on. Please tell me you know this. X bar foi tahalat problem 2 foi na life libani talas calculate X bar na. Come on. What is X bar? Tells you here. Sidalia.
28.
What is X bar over here? X bar is this. What is this? For God's sake, we just calculate that in problem number 2. Now, what is X bar here? What is X bar? Can anybody answer me, please? All right, this is starting to make me annoying. It's starting to get annoying. I just give you an answer. I just ask you somebody to read it. What is X bar?
Mean?
2.
Yes, mean. It's written right there. Here, mean, comma, X bar. Is that really hard? Susalo satu kuliah tidak ya? Why? It's mean is equal to X bar represents the mean. Usama kuliah tidak naman susah terlalu ne. Tama saya. Imi handang sila, imi hamlahakan sa. We keep on repeating, using it for God knows how many examples I have given. Na foto exemplo hirat yaw na. Mas laya but lay most mo. The foto anti resposta va kuliah sided mas label to. Hey, listen, yeah. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Okay, banghira may escola, aprende la belle tao ka tu halo sala o kuliah sala. Mistake is the greatest teacher there is. Okay? La belle tao ka tu halo sala. Kuliah de. Sala aprende. Imi estudante. Okay? Making a mistake is the greatest teacher. If you make a mistake once, you learn from your mistake. Agora, imi ane hototo at kuliah de butir mas hototo ibun toste tao ka kuliah sala. Why is that? Why? Imi na mentalidade tam serman sane. Okay? Labela sane. Rona kale.
Rona teacher.
Rona
Okay.
teacher.
Agora boy na bela tauk sala, okay? Sala ni dia klitang haula. Agosta li imi halo sala, duki imi la koko. Okay, how prefer you eman be koko mak ni halo sala, that's better than people who never try. Imi mai universidade ona nene, rona mai. I have to give you this so you know this. Why you guys coming to university? Tama sada mi mai universidade. Zé, tama sada mai universidade. On objetivo mai universidade ou sada? I want to hear from everybody.
Maya to aprende kalian lihat.
Aprende cliente depois a tal saída.
Aumenta skill.
Depois, aumenta skill depois, a tal saída tam. Hatene te skill o lur saída o hal o uso skill a tal saída.
Força mental.
Use skill atau apa hai?
Usa skill a tu troca
Five
osa.
kali.
Okay, itu jujur deh. Emo hotu tu aprende skill para lorin skill de troca ni osan. Troca osan.
Buka serviço.
Buka serviço. Oba serviço ne ema la os fo serviço bo tambo oya ijasa. Oba fo serviço bo tambo oya saída.
Skill.
Skills, not diploma, not grade. You can get obel hetang A+ to it on exame, but it doesn't matter if you forget it. O hetang seratos hotumus o kano otoba serviço ema selu o, por exemplo, imi akarak na o haune gaji ni akarak $500, $1,000. Ema fote gaji $1,000 ba imi fulang ida make maruka. Ba, o calculate tok be buka tok be mean of this data for me. Or write me a letter. Ida nenit mo simi label halo na ne imi merece sim $1,000 kala.
Lasip.
Merece ida to. Saat imi. Gitu. Depois imi mai escola. Imi mai escola ne mo tala rumah. Buat nebe mestre sira hanore ne. Paling baseia ba estudo ne paling 15% sira sanerit me comprende. Buat ser selebni or sira imi ba serviço ne imi se aprende mas hanore imi. Mas be mai escola ne ema hanore imi para atu iha responsabilidade, disciplina. Escola ne hanore imi dane. Por exemplo, emriang, oh assignment o yung hatama abang hatama dun ne haturu katak imi responsabilidade. Emadiang abang hatama dia mistri hawa sa alasan sana bayrua ba intolo hatama filofali. Pas abang atu halo na maka abang atu hatama na maka 30 menit sebelum nara karakter ba yung pinting hatama. Nekan la dia kira abang baru imi ba serviço ka ema pot tugas ba imi. Si dale oni responsabilidade makira ne. O Supriano oni responsabilidade may dane. Ema for responsabilidade ba imi ken ema dia abang hawa karak o halo hutu abang hatama na. Tidak mungkin ema ruko dia abang hatama o lorong sanuru tamu hatama ema pecat langsung. That's how you learn disciplines. Ina nema imi hanori disiplina. E depois e escola nema imi oportunidade imi atu halo sala. School is the opportunity where you can make a lot of mistakes and you don't have any consequences. Ya escola nem uma oportunidade de halo sala bara-bara. Halo sala barak te queres para aprender usar sala. O sido ba fale na vida profissional mako koko ato minimize one sala ni. O minimize one sala you get a better chances of getting a good career. Okay? Iha universidade you need to be responsible individuals. Tama, how much mystery? I have more responsibility than just giving you mathematics, yeah? I have also responsibility to teach you about the reality of life, reality of professional life. Agora, inform you have a second year. Probably most of you are still in second year or probably first year even. Right? And you probably don't know, you have no idea the professional life will look like. But another 2 to 3 years, tinutulong maitang imi foi senti, imi graduate dia. Depois imi senti dia, imi buka serviço, imi foi senti. Imi foi, ei pa, a escola gasta tempo para barak may serviço at halo lá here. No, not because there is no job. O quando matene, quando skill set, serviço lá eu criar esse serviço bonian. That's the difference between people with skill, people who just get diploma. Okay? Now, ako rin na, kuli barak litan na tamba, it's not very good on you. Level estudiante, level asane, ano nang like. Have to be active, participate. Sa media, imi jaringan maat, that's understandable, na how comprende. Maybe jaringan dia kala utoto no mute tritan sfali butir lakona, that's starting to make me angry. Okay, when I ask something, at least one person or two person answers. I just give you an answer. I just ask you to read it out. Nemo sarasca. It's not very good. It's not very good, yeah. And I
Yeah,
understand,
teacher.
yeah, how comprehend it in online classes, but online classes is I make every effort to make it available to make it how it in online classes them how is forceful to but make sure you understand it. I upload the videos on YouTube so that you can rewatch it. I make my PowerPoint, how many PowerPoint slide to presenta ida be tidia capaz to tir malos ne para me to comprende. And all of this effort is not appreciated. That's not very good. Okay. I think I do more. I think I do better than most. I mean, if you compare my online classes with people in face-to-face class, I think if you compare it in terms of you understand it, I think I'm still doing okay. Lost galay.
Teacher.
Lost to? Say mi compran how na klase online,
Yes,
may klase sila be.
Yes.
Mi ano rin loro ne, how sinti how ni speak sound ni klaro li fal luke na ba. I mean, I'm not saying I might be wrong, but I think I'm still okay.
Yes.
Not that bad. Right? So because I put an effort into this. Okay, so let's go back to the questions. Let's go back. All right, so what were you? We were in problem number 3, right? All right, so standard deviation, we already calculate for the range, and the highest value and the lowest value was 32 and 27, and you get the range as 5, right? And now we were about to calculate for the sample variance. Then I give you sample variance, and then I give you this formula. So X is your what? X is your data set, right? X is each individual data, which is 28, 30, 27, 29, 32, 31, and 28. That's your X. Now, X bar is what again? X bar is
It's the mean.
It's the mean. So when you say, so what it means here is that your X minus your mean. Your data values minus your mean. Okay. So what is your data? This is so before you want to calculate for your sample values, you need to find first your mean, right? So the mean of that, the mean of this data value is about 29.286. Okay, so to calculate for sample variance, you need to first calculate for the mean. Okay, because the mean is in the formula. Okay, now that you already calculate for your mean, so this is your data, right? So you have 28, 30, 27, 29, 32, 31, and 28. So now you need to do is what? You need to get your X. So 28 here, you have 28 minus 29.286. That will get you what? Negative 1.29.
29.
Okay, and then you take X30 minus 29.286. That will get you 0.71. So this 30 minus this 29 minus the mean, you get 0.71. And the same, 27 minus 29.286, you get negative 2.29. And so on and etc. Next, you just do the same thing. Right, now that you already have x minus x bar, but the formula is not x minus x bar. What does the formula indicate? The formula indicate x minus x bar what? Square, right? So then you have to take a square of that. So negative 1.29 square. When you take the square of negative 1.29, what you get? 1.65. And then you take square of 0.71, this is what you get. The square of 2.29, this is what you get. The square of this, square of that, and then this is what you get. All right. What's correct? I don't know. Let me try this.
Yeah.
Right. So if you take all this square, now that you already have all the square, and the formula is indicating to get the sum, meaning the sum of x minus x bar square. So that means you need to sum them up. 1.65 plus 0.51 plus 5.22 plus 0.08 plus 7.37 plus 2.94 plus 1.65. And then the sum of that is 19.429. Now, after you get the sum, so your numerator is already, you already find your numerator, right? Now, the denominator is simply n minus 1. So what is your n here? N is simply?
7.
7, yeah,
Seven.
n is 7. So all you need to do now is
7.
plug in the value, 19.429 over 7 minus 1. So you have a sample variance of about 3.238. So that's how you calculate for sample variance. Any questions? Preguntas?
Wala, teacher.
Okay,
None.
good. Now that you already calculate the sample variance, how do you calculate for the standard deviation? How do you calculate for standard deviation? So the formula for standard deviation is simply to take the square root of that, right?
Sure. I can explain how to calculate sample variance. Sample variance
Oh.
is a
So basically, sample standard deviation is you just take the square root. So in the formula ito nene, o talakong square root ni kan, you just take the square root of that, right? So basically, everything that you already calculate, this 3.238, you just take the square root of that value. And then if you take the square root of 3.238, then you get your sample.
1.799.
Yes, that's standard deviation. That's what you call a sample standard deviation. Okay, easy, right? Simple enough, I hope.
Yes, teacher.
Okay, good. Now let's do any question, by the way. No? Okay, good.
None.
Now, what about this one? Jennifer Pinto, read the problem number 4 for us.
Sure. A company records the weight in kilogram of shipments in received in a day: 120, 130, 150, 140, 125, 135, 110, and 120. Find the range of the weights. Calculate the variance of the weights. Compute the standard
Deviation. All right. So basically, this is just the same thing. All right. So now that you already have your data, you know the data. The data is in the weights, right? So 120, 130, 115, 140. So I just want you to remind you that what is the standard deviation of this one? That says 1.799. Okay, remember that value, 1.799. This is for the first problem number 3, yeah? 1.799. Now, problem number 4 is when you talk about weight. Okay, to calculate for the range is simply what? The highest value minus the lowest value. Highest value is what? 140, right? 140, yes, I think so. And then the lowest value is 110. So you get a third view of your for range. Okay, I think range is pretty straightforward. To calculate for range is pretty straightforward. Now the trick is calculating for the sample variances where the hard part comes in. Okay, so sample variance is equals to, what is the formula for sample variance? Is like this, right? So the summation of x minus x bar squared. Okay, so this is your data. So 120, 130, 115, 140, 125, 135, 110, and 120. That's your data. Now, but you also need to calculate for the what? X minus x bar, correct? You need to calculate first for the mean. So this is your mean. So 124.375 is your mean. Okay, so the mean is just the summation of it divided by the total sample size, 8, and you get a mean of 124.375. Okay, after you get the mean, now you need to do is x minus x bar, your data x, this value x here, all of this data value x minus to your each mean. So this is what you get. So 120 minus to 124.375, you will get about negative 4.38, right? And 130 minus 124.375, you get about 5.63. And then you have 115 minus to 124.375, you get negative 9.38. If you have 140, you take 140, you minus that to 124.375, you will get 15.63, and you do so on and so forth. So now that you already have x minus x bar, all you need to do now is what? Take the square.
Square root.
Take the square. So negative 4.38 square is 19.14. Or for example, 10.63 square is about 112.89. So just do it for the rest of the data. And then now that you already have that, now you want to get the sum. Okay, because this is the symbol here is indicating the sum, yeah? Or summation. Summation means you want to add them all up, add them all together. That's what this symbol means. This is the symbol of summation symbol. So that means you want to add 19.14 plus 31.64 plus 87.89 plus 244.14 and etc. And you've got a sum of about 721.88. Okay, so now that you have the sum, so in this sample variance form, we already have your numerator. So all you need to do now, what is our n here? 8, right?
Teacher.
N
8,
is
yeah.
8. All you need to do
8.
now is plug in
8,
the
sir.
value. So plug in the value of 721.88 over 8 minus 1. Then you get your variance of about 103.126. That's your sample variance. Okay? Now that you already have your sample variance, all you need to do now is calculate for your standard deviation. Okay, standard deviation is simply take the square root of that value. Then you have
10.155.
Now, in problem number 3, what was the standard deviation?
1.799.
1.799. And this one is 10.155, which means the data set in problem number 4 has more variance or is more varied than the data set in problem number 3. Let's plot and see. If you notice here, if you notice between this, okay, so the red dot is problem number 4, where you have a variance of about 10 point something. So if you look at this, the data is more spread out, right? That's a dokmaluliu from the mean. But then if you look at the data in blue, which is the problem number 3, the data is, there is a variance, but much less as compared to problem number 4, right? So that's what variance means. Comprende ito?
Yes.
Yes,
Comprehend,
teacher.
sir.
Preguntas?
Depende,
Any
teacher.
questions? Any questions?
No,
Teacher,
teacher.
pregunta apa
Yes.
example 3 ni ya x minus x square ni teacher. Ini hitam valor ini ladung comprende teacher.
Number 3 ka number 4?
Example 3 ni teacher.
Okay, hold on. Let me go back to that. Okay. Ito na ba? O diyan na ba? X minus x ka? X minus x square.
X minus x square ni teacher. Nine atheta nine resultar no in tiro comprende dia teacher.
Ato heta ni resultado ni one x ni makone data sir nito. One x ni
Yes,
masaya 28, 30, 27. Those are your x's. Ni data ni. Okay, ato hetang negative 1.29 o hetang sinabi o 4028 kita nene 28 minus minus 29.286.
228.
May siya mo sila? Jose, comprende nga? Y 40
Sim, comprendo.
Armandino. Armandino mauso, teacher.
Okay, Armandino. 4028 kita ne minus ba o ni mean 29.8286. Depois tuir fela fali mai o fali 30 da ne 30 here. You minus that to 29.286. Hanesa mos may tung fala may correct 4027. You minus that to 29.286. That's how you get this value. Comprende na?
Idle comprende, teacher. Idle ko na ba? X minus x square nino, siya comprende,
Ah,
teacher.
square no, thank you for the square it. 1.20 negative 1.29 square. The square of 40 o tawag calculator niya 1 negative 1.29 square, that will get you that 1.6665 ne. Depends of 40 0.71 square niyo etan 0.51 ne. If you take the square of negative 2.29, you get 5.22. Comprende square, meaning take pangkat 2.
Understand, teacher.
Okay, good. Any more questions?
Thank you.
Okay.
None, teacher.
All right, good. All right. So now that you understand range, sample variance, and sample standard deviation, so this is the, so if you look at here, the mean, because I only show here mean is because that's what people mostly use. Most often people use mean, yeah, instead of sample instead of other measures of central tendency. You have central tendency here if you have mode, median, and mid-range, but mostly in research, people mostly use mean. But then I want you to compare between the symbols here. If you want to calculate for the mean for the population, this represents by the symbol mu here. Okay, the mean for the population is this symbol. Mean for the sample is X bar. Okay, don't confuse between the two, yeah? If you see a symbol for mu, that means the mean is for population. If you see the symbol for X bar, that is the mean for the sample. Same thing with standard deviation. If you see the value of the symbol of sigma, that is standard deviation for the population. If you see the value, the symbol S, that is standard deviation for the sample. And the formula between the sample and the population is slightly different, yeah? I mean, the mean is the same, yeah, where big N represents the population size, small n represents the sample size. Okay, so if you look at the standard deviation formula, the only difference is this N. In sample, you have N minus 1 because it takes into account the degrees of freedom, right? That's why you have N minus 1 in the sample. But then if you want to calculate standard deviation for the population, you don't need to take into account degrees of freedom because this is the entire population already. So all you need to do is just divide it by the total number of population. Okay, so there's slight differences in the formula depending on if it's for sample or is it for population. Comprende, kalian?
Comprende, teacher.
Okay, good. So that means difference between population and sample, yeah? You have this formula here. Maybe or exam, you can just print this and then bring it to your exam. It's okay. Yeah, on exam ni formula mi belelori. Non tek maklabele mes formula belelori.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So maybe for example, say karik imi calcula, yeah? For example, Ana Sofia, can you read problem number 1 for us, please? Ana Sofia, go ahead.
Number 1, teacher.
Yes, problem 1, correct.
Scenario: you are studying the average test score of all students in a particular school. Here, the population will include every student enrolled in the school, which might consist of 1,200
No, not 1. That's
students.
1,200. 1,200, yeah. Okay, by the way, yan ya Portuguese o Ingles ni lanesa. Imi bis foundation math misti na oruko imi hanoring remos lahir editor na fatim. Ya English, if you have a comma, that means 1,200 ya. Ya Português ni memang dia 1, ni. Ni dia 1,2. It's just 1.2. Agora, ya por inglês ou português ni símbolo ni lah nessa ya. Pick, please and please take notes. Okay? I keep on emphasizing every semester how kulele do miste sira no de mathematica foundation program. Please emphasize the students to make a difference between symbol, point, and commas in Portuguese and in English. Okay, so that means in problem number 1, you are studying the average test score of all students in particular school, yeah? So that means all the students. The keyword here is all the students. That means that's your entire population, not the sample, yeah? The sample will be just 30 or 40 out of 1,200. But this is n. So that means your n is simply 1,200. So when you calculate for the mean and standard deviation, you will use this formula and this symbol instead of this one, because this one is for the sample. If for problem number 1 and 2, you will use n is equals to 1,200. Okay. Now, Joshua Suarez, please read problem number 2 for us. Do we have Joshua Suarez here?
Here, teacher.
Yes, please read problem number 2.
Problem 2, a scenario. You are studying in the height of all adults in city.
In a city, okay.
In this case, population is defined as all adults living in that specific city. Let's say the city has, how to say it, teacher?
I don't know. Did you take mathematics, foundation math?
What the fuck?
Just try.
100,000.
100,000 adults.
Yes, very good. Okay. 100,000. See how for be immediate sheet we fill read numbers only, I think. That'll be a good homework. Okay. So that means the population is 100,000. Okay. So if, in this case, you're not calculating a data for sample, right? And you're calculating a data for population. If you have a lot of money, you just go and get all the data in the population, then you will use the formula for population. All right, so that's about it, our measure of descriptive statistics. ¿Hay preguntas, Roma?
None, teacher.
Good. I hope you learned something today, okay? So we did some example. I think we can go for another. I can go to lecture number 3, but do we have time here? We have a lot of time.
Can teachers send this PowerPoint later?
I will not be sending PowerPoint, but I will send a PDF.
Okay.
Of the
Thank
same
you.
thing, not the PowerPoint. I will send a PDF.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so what was I? All right, so Chidari sa fiesta na kare. Chidari, may
Sorry,
fiesta.
sir.
Okay, may bok mahal. All right, so you guys want to go to lecture number 3 because I have a lecture number 3 here, or we can start next week or next meeting on Thursday. Oh, hold on, let me see my lecture number 3 if it's ready. Yeah, I think so. No, you know what? Let's start that next week.
Yeah, teacher.
I don't want to mix things. All righty. So